Hello everyone and welcome to Mugello IMSA Week here in the Porsche. Of course, a pretty okay car choice. For me, it wasn't the best one around here. I know obviously the downforce changes made it a bit better at these kind of quite high speed, medium speed tracks, but for me, it didn't really click as well as the other cars here. But yeah, it might work for you. But either way, let's go for a lap here in the Porsche. So on the way down to turn one, our main aim here is to look at the pit exit line right in front of us here. So this white line just before the 100-meter board. So pretty much 100-meter board is where you want to start braking, but just after this line is preferably where you want to start braking early on. So in between these boards, as you can see, we're shutting the brakes 100% to start off with on peak pressure. And then we start to trail off at the 50-meter board as we just passed down the left-hand side. Really important here as we're starting to go into the corner that we keep it kind of aiming towards this this curb as much as we can do, because you can see it's cambered on the inside. So the more we can get to the inside, the better, because the car will just carry its own weight around the corner. And back on the throttle, here we go. So you want to keep it more to the right-hand side here, because you don't want to track out too much to the left, because then that will compromise your entry to the chicane, and also it will make you lose the rear a bit more going over this crest and more to the left. So you want to kind of keep it in a right-hand motion, if that makes sense, to stop the rear from coming around too much, and allow traction control to do most of the work. So again, we're fairly on throttle here. Oh my goodness. Fairly on throttle here quite early on. So again, we keep it all the way to the right-hand side, and as soon as we hit the curb there on the right, we're straight on the brakes very lightly here to about 20%. To throw it into the left-hand side here, and just avoiding the sausage curb at all costs. And then we're straight on throttle pretty much as soon as we pass these sausage curbs as well. Keeping the throttle around about 50 or so percent here. And keep into that black line edge in the track there, which will be our transition point to the right-hand side. So I'm going to get a little bit more throttle on here. And keep that throttle fairly high, but also lifting off to help us get some more turning into the corner. Again, avoiding these sausage curves, making sure that we're burning off the exit here to give us the most straight line speed possible. So again, keeping it on this line all the way through here, because this will be our off-track limit here. Back over to the right-hand side for the second chicane, which starts at the 50-meter board here, our braking zone. Pretty much at the white-coloured tyre barriers here. So around about 50% pressure to start off with, and then we're pretty much turning in straight away. Again, really same thing with the first chicane, but this is just a little bit quicker. So as we come through the left, we're staying away from the sausage curb as much as we can. Getting on throttle just after that. I've delayed my throttle quite a lot here because I've actually gone too quick into the corner itself. As you can see here, our main aim is to get on throttle as early as we can do to build off the exit as much as we can. So keeping it all the way to the left-hand side again to try and minimise the off-track limits we have here. As we're into a very fast section of the track, we start to brake. A double brakes at the marshal post here on the left-hand side. As you can see, we're starting at 20% pressure. We're flicking in straight away, trying to get into the green Astro as much as we can. Here I like to flick the rear bar up quite high because I want to get a lot more rear stiffness to allow the car to rotate a bit better on entry to give it the most downforce possible. So we keep our throttle planted all the way through here. When I say planted, fairly down, I suppose. Over that green AstroTurf, then back over to the left-hand side, where we start our lifting point fairly early on, about 50% pressure all the way through. And then we start to build off an exit all the way to the curb there. And that's pretty much as much as you want to be taking here. Any more than this will result in the off-track, so this is your limit. And as we reach this curb, we're back over to the left-hand side to open up this right-hander. But you don't want to be too much onto the red AstroTurf, because again, as you can see, we're turning in really early on, so the more time we spend trying to get over to the left-hand side, the less time we're going to spend turning into the right-hander here. So we start lifting off fairly early on, because again, we want to lift early on to build off the exit rather than lifting at the exit, which will slow us down more. So a little double brakes here just to get the car turned in, get the front nose pitched down a little bit more as well. And we stand the throttle back down to the floor, all the way back over to the left-hand side curbing, which can take quite a lot of this curb. As you can see, we're riding quite a lot of it in. And again, it's more just making sure that we're not running over the curb too much at all to get that off track. So full throttle through here. And then pretty much as soon as we reach this kind of final red marking here, around about this point is where we want to start to lift off and turn back to the right-hand side once again. So as you can see, a fairly aggressive lift through here. And fairly stabby on the throttle and exit, making sure that we're running all the way out to the left-hand sside. Again, this is our off-track limit here. Any more than this will result in the off-track, so making sure that we're staying in line with the curb. Keeping it on the left, and just after we pass the slip road here on the left-hand side is where we start our braking for the third chicane. So run about 72% peak pressure to start off with, and then we start turning in pretty much instantly. Fairly early apex to start off with. As we just graze the sausage curb on the right-hand side, we start building off the throttle fairly early on. And it's really important for this section that we slow the car down fairly quite a lot here, because we don't want to compromise ourselves with the left-hander, which has a very long straight that fires out of it. So the more time we can spend on throttle through this corner, the better, rather than lifting, because we've sent too much speed through this corner itself. So yeah, quite early on throttle here. Putting it on 100%, then lifting off once again. Again, through this left-hander, just avoiding the inside curves as much as we can. Lifting off fairly much, or quite a lot through here. Then back on the throttle quite aggressively, all the way out to the right-hand side. So again, it's all about building off the exit as much as we can do. Back over to the left-hand side here. And here for the Porsche, because it's quite a heavy boy and a stiff boy, these 3D curbs are quite violent with the car. So if you're on the left-hand side here with the left-hand tires and you transition over to the right, you're going to feel quite an aggressive bump here that can send the car, especially the front nose, in all different kind of directions. So just for a safer route, I tend to just go around the curb itself, so that we get more of a smoother line as we approach the right-hander here. And we start our braking just after the 100-meter board, just in between the 150. Again, it's more about trying to fire into the right-hand side as much as we can, because there's quite a lot of camber here to use on the inside. So the more we can use that, again, the more the car can turn naturally, rather than us kind of force anything through the car at all. And we start getting on throttle quite early on, because again, lots of camber to use, and we have quite an exit to work with as well. So as early we can get on throttle, the better. So pushing over to the left-hand side curb, we don't want to use too much of the curb, because we have quite an aggressive left-right section here, which is flat out. So the more time we can spend kind of dancing in the middle of the track here to set us up for this section, the more speed we can carry through it, and the less steering input we have turning into the corner itself, so we don't scrub off any speed. So as we come on throttle on the exit here, your main aim is to keep it just ever so slightly to the right of the white line, then back over to the right, and then quickly to the left as we eat a lot of the curb on the inside, and again, same with the right hander as well, all to minimize the steering angle to not scrub off any time or any speed. And over to the right hand side for the final corner, which starts our braking zone at the flag LED pole on the right hand side here, just after the 100-meter board. And again, fairly aggressive entry here, because we're going to throw a lot of speed into the corner as we can, because this will not only gain us a lot of time, but also gain us a lot of momentum out of the corner. But it is very difficult, because you can lose the rear if you're going to take too much speed through this corner with too much braking, because it is cambered towards the inside. So making sure we're kind of find that right balance of braking quite late, but also not braking too late, so that we're going to override the front end with too much load. So as we come into the corner, 80% peak pressure to start off with, and we start turning in pretty much instantly as we come off the brakes as we do. So firing into the white line as soon as we can do, because again, there's some camber on the inside that we can use to our advantage here. And then we can get on throttle as early as we can do with that as well. So use the camber to track the car out to the right hand side and to gain off the exit as much as we can do. Then we keep the car on a straight line all the way through to turn 1, and then repeat the process all again. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the car and track combo. For me, it wasn't really clicking that well, but yeah, for you it might do. But either way, hope you guys enjoy the car and track combination, and I will see you all again next week.